we've got to be able to disrupt, right? But it's going to take incredible organizations and minds that can kind of use the purpose of music to disrupt. And so having someone like Lisa here is incredible. Having facilitators that kind of bring everyone together on the sustainability within the music industry, uniting the music industry, the creative economy, people like Eleanor and what you're doing at MSA, right? Obviously I always love the solutions, and there are so many companies and startups and entrepreneurs and passionate people like Andrew with alternatives, right, to what we're used to in terms of powering things, in terms of doing it. And then, I also think you got to have the OGs. You know what I'm saying? You know what OG is? You guys know that. Whoops. There's the words I use like dope. It means really cool. Okay, not drugs.
Hope you're taking note.
Taking on from America. And OG. The guys that were doing it before. And people that were using music as a way to power, impact, people like Jarvis. And I'm so happy to have you guys here today.
Thank you.
Talk more, Jarvis. I mean, heck, man, talk more about
Thank you.
what's up, brother.
I mean, firstly, I do know what OG means. I'm that old.
No, not age. Just means like he's an OG.
Yeah.
He's a G. Snoop Dogg be like it's not a G, it's a G thing. That's my homie though. So Yeah.
I mean, look. Firstly, you are an inspiration. I think we can all see that. The power and the energy that you infuse is electric, literally.
Thanks,
so
man.
thank you. Just a little bit about me. I signed my first recording contract in 2006, and I would only sign the agreement if we created a sustainable recording contract. So at the time we committed to only playing solar-powered stages. There were none in 2006. Travelling to events without flying, so I've never played abroad. I have a couple of times actually, but not like at that time. Making CDs, see this is CD era, only to contract. So if they were ordered, they would be made, created, and wearing ethical clothes, sustainable fashion, etc., etc. So I created the world's first sustainable recording contract.
But what was the inspiration for you to go? Because that's not just an extra kilometre or mile. That's a long way. What was the epiphany for you to do that as an artist?
As an artist, I trained with a female shaman for 14 years in the art of listening.
Well, that might do it.
Yeah, and listening to the earth, listening to what the earth is trying to teach us, and now I'm very heavily focused in sustainability or being a voice for nature. But so because I talked to trees, some TV guys called me up and said, Jarvis, we know you're a bit wacky. Would you like to be on a TV show? And I was invited to go on a show called Dumped, which was on Channel 4. You may have seen it, aired in 2007, where we had to live on a landfill. And we were dumped on this site with nothing to sleep in, nowhere to cook, nowhere to shower, nowhere to go to the toilet, etc. And I was there with 10 other people. And it was Channel 4. They had the model, the gay guy, the alpha male. I was the wacky, the hippie guy.
You were playing the wacky.
Really? Yeah. And that changed my life. It made me realise that what we now know is a climate crisis, we were actually causing that. But landfill is the opposite end of any shopping platform or high street. Yeah. And so it completely transformed my life. So that's when I went back to the label and I said, I'm going to do this with you, but you have to adhere to some of these things, and we made history.
Amazing. And just quickly, what's your music style?
Fusion.
Of course.
I'm half Indian. I was brought up by a West Indian, and I love pop music. So it's pop with, good classic songs. AY's had said, you're actually quite a good songwriter, so I felt really good about that. with some tabla and some, Indian fusion in there, but mainly it's got a kind of reggae vibe, because I was brought up on Bob Marley. I mean, he was my absolute musical hero.
We got to look that up then.
The Phoenix Rose, we are called.
Okay, the Phoenix Rose.
And then, can I say very quickly, the latest track, not to dominate, the latest track I've done was actually with Greta Thunberg, which was a cover version of the Swedish House Mafia Save the World, which I donated 100% of the artist's money that I would get to Fridays for Future's Mapper. So you can download that track, you can stream it, play it, every penny goes to
Nice one.
Music for impact, and it's funny. It's so interesting because, that's why I said OG. It's like you kind of laid the groundwork for there to even be a me, bro. like, so I pay homage to you and want to give you all your flowers, what it must have been like. I've been in meetings with the record executives trying to tell them about Project 17 and how the idea is to donate all the proceeds to organizations like an MSA or that have the solutions like an Andrew, and that it's counterintuitive in their mind. And it's not a good, well, what you're talking about, you want to give away the music to help people? It's like, what? We're here to make money.
Exactly.
So get out of my office.
Yeah.
I literally been told that. But you started the disruption. And when go ahead.
Sorry.
I was segueing, but you got it.
Please forgive me. Sorry. You know what was amazing? I remember when we launched our first single. Then it was called Sick and Tired. We changed the name actually, and I re-released it because it's such a good song. It didn't do nearly as good. So anyway. And it was the time when we did get written about by those kind of quite forward-thinking media outlets, The Big Issue, The Guardian, people like that. They would say things like, this is Jarvis, this is what he's doing. It's better than writing Fair Trade on your hand. Now, do you remember what artist wrote Fair Trade on the hand? Chris Martin, it was Coldplay. One of the biggest bands ever to penetrate this music scene. And we never ever made it. And you're absolutely right. It was because we weren't really seen to be able to make loads of money. So they were like, let's just shelve these guys and let's focus on these guys.
Right.
But that, for me, kept my level of integrity. So.
And that helps ping pong here because, again, that was disruption at the beginning. Before I was even doing the baritone, I thought I would start this in 2012, and that was a good 2006. It brings me to you, though, Lisa, too, right? Because, you spoke about The Guardian and different things like that. Obviously that's a space that probably should be bringing these stories and these solutions to the... Tell people about what you do. How are you?
I just don't know how I follow that.
Come on. You're done.
Yeah, you are doing amazing work.
Okay. So I run a company called Purpose Disruptors, which I co-founded about 5 years ago, which really looks at sort of building networks and tools and resources and skills within the advertising, media and marketing industry. So taking sort of commercial creativity and thinking about people who work in this industry who is so talented and have so much creativity, and if we could find a way to harness their creative superpowers, like what could that be in service of? And so our mission is to sort of catalyse a transition within the industry, so bring in sort of young creatives to work on sort of different projects. And interestingly, we were talking about this before, one of the very first things we did was a project called The Great Reset, which was all about a sort of post-COVID sort of reset that was needed, and Jarvis was actually the first person to publish our work in the Guardian, when we had no idea what we were going to do with it or how to put it out in the world or where it was really going to go. It was quite an experiment, and Jarvis emailed and said, I can put it in the Guardian. I was like, okay, just send me the detail. But since then it's grown. It's like a community of 5,000 people, and really what we do, a big pillar of our work is creativity, and so we've got a project called Good Life 2030 where the client is basically the future, and so it's looking at what do citizens dream of in the future, what do they really want. We've done lots of research. They tell us it's like connection to self, others and natures, it's not consumption. And so when you take people who work in the advertising industry, whose day job is selling like cat food, toothpaste, EasyJet flights, whatever, and you basically free them up to work on something where they're thinking about like what is the future we want to create, that empowers people who are, inherently very creative to do something about building a different future.
You're getting right to the heart of the challenge there, that we can't build the futures we can't picture.
Yes, exactly.
And so we have this, when the RSA talks about, as Andy Haldane did today, that it's one thing to imagine a future, but you've got to be able to build it. Actually, I think the crisis is starting with being able to, having the instinct to imagine it, right?
Yeah.
You guys, the advertising industry is the storytellers for hire.
Exactly.
And I
created the mess that we're in.
Exactly.
Right.
Well,
So
it's upon them to create a new vision, and we've worked with the RSA actually.
Have you?
Recently on a 6-month project called Reimagining Advertising, and so we took sort of 12 people from the core of the advertising industry from different sectors, so from a creative agency, media agency, Channel 4, media owner, NatWest, like big, chunky organisations, Kantar, an awards body, and we took them on a 6-month learning journey, which we co-designed with the RSA, to look at exactly that, using lots of sort of futures thinking, imagination, collective imagination sort of work. Like, how do you reimagine what the future could look like, inspired by citizens?
Do you know, a senior exec in advertising, a legend actually, once said to me a couple of years ago, you know, the leaders of our businesses, our clients, those leaders are secretly looking to us as storytellers to give them the lead, the answers. Well, I've always thought advertising agencies are really, every ad agency is a strategy agency, really.
Yeah.
How have you found leaders responding to this call?
I mean, it's really interesting. I was client side in a brand for 10 years, so I worked for Coca-Cola in marketing there, and then I switched across and was a strategy director in a creative agency. So I'm not I'm a frustrated creative. I'm basically a person who wishes they were creative, who works with creatives all of the time to try and help them unlock the best work. But the leaders are, I would say, in the most part, in their hearts, they know what's needed and they want to move in that direction. It's incredibly tension-inducing when your mortgage, you know, depends on you doing something else. And so we try and do a lot of like holding space, you know, a lot of listening, a lot of active listening, a lot of trying to understand like how people can move through the tension and be able to sort of create for themselves and others like a different pathway to the future.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
That's beautiful. I love, and I know we got a lot of viewers at home too, right? Or people that are streaming it.
Hey,
Over. I don't know what the number is, but I also want to challenge the viewers or to start reimagining or thinking about, you know, how they can use their passion to take an action. This concept we've been talking about all day of being an outlet for change, and, you know, thinking how you can use your creative. How can we reimagine? That kind of can bring me to you, Eleanor, you know, because I feel like I witnessed a reimagination of the music industry. You know what I'm saying? She's part of MSA. Yo. I because of you guys, right? I was able to go to like the first ever, you know, like the sustainability summit, you know, for the music industry, Grammy Week. You know, aside from meeting guys like Kanye and all these different artists and stuff, I was doing all this stuff. That was my favorite thing to be at. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. So I'm the director of the MSA, and we're pretty unique in that our whole purpose is essentially to work with the music industry to get people together to collaborate and actually work together. So to get people out of these silos and actually work together on sustainability. As we all know, woo, yay!
Yeah. Building bridges! Yeah. That's like bang on theme, like building bridges, breaking down these barriers. Yeah, yeah.
And it's really hard. I mean, as I'm sure everyone knows, when it comes to sustainability, our fundraising is kind of limited. And everyone is working in these silos and nobody is talking, and what ends up happening is people keep on duplicating their efforts, and sometimes they're duplicating failed efforts. So they're using this money that's limited to do something that someone else has done and failing in this task. So our goal is getting all of these different people together to talk and actually say, hey, I've done this, this is what I've done, this is what I have, what's worked, what's not worked, these are my challenges, and actually see how that can work. And then on top of that, what we do is we have a little bit of cross-pollination across industries. So for example, we work with anything from labels to promoters to agents, managers, to production, literally every single portion of the music industry. And the idea is to actually get them to work together on sustainability, because it's not something that should be for business. It's something that should be collaborative. It's something that all of these different people should be working on together.
I mean, what I'm hearing is the theme, right? Is that it's going to take, you know, these different sectors, facets of humanity coming together. And speak a little bit more about that as we'll probably jump to Andrew in a sec. But, you know, when I was there, it's like there's, you know, Maggie was there, Billie Eilish's mom, and Billie's team, Danny, and then I saw the Sound Future team, or then it was the heads of Warner, Sony, was the 3 majors or the 4 majors. I mean, everyone was there. You know, it was there that I even met Coldplay's sustainability team, or the guys that, you know, create the smart grid, right? And Lawrence Showpower was there, and it was such a beautiful moment, guys, to see a lot of the key figures in the industry uniting for sustainability. You had artists like AJR, etc. Just talk a little bit more about, I mean, you brought everyone together, and maybe are we, I guess this theme today has been, you know, taking an action, and it's been 4 or 5 months since the Grammys, right? Yeah. What kind of actions are you seeing? What is the impact you start seeing is now you've been mobilizing the music industry?
Yeah, so the sustainable music sector is not something that's very big, but it's really funny. So we put on, as AY mentioned, the first ever Music Sustainability Summit in the US. And we had to go to a larger venue twice. We oversold multiple times. The response we got was overwhelming. and we had people from all different sectors coming together, and we really had all the major players there. Actually, to speak about collaboration, it was the first time the heads, the CSOs of AEG, Live Nation, Oakview Group, and ASM were all together on a panel, which was the first time they were publicly ever together.
Which is crazy, by the way. They don't play together.
So it really, we just, by creating this education and sense of community that really did come from a neutral ground, which was the MSA, by creating this and getting everyone together, we just really were able to break these barriers in a way that has never happened before, which was kind of not shocking, but it was something, it was, we did better than we ever expected, and it was something that was really incredible.
You know, Eleanor, I'm also thinking that when you said to me earlier, I'm not really a creative, I'm more on the business side. But I'd like to illustrate that it's thinking like an artist, to be able to jump all those boxes and see how they fit together. And in that sense, artists, it's not just people like to talk about art like music. Artists embody the process of thinking outside the box and of taking their world wherever they like. It's what AY embodies, and I do to an extent. You do. You can show up as an artist and take your world with you and connect. So, you know, in a sense, you are thinking like an artist.
I mean, I am very type A, so I love bringing everyone together and having this process of seeing how everyone can fit in and all the puzzle pieces and getting everyone together. So there's definitely a creative sense to it, but like you said, like I would say, not in the traditional sense for sure. Yeah. But it's very creative.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like home every time, the more we all talk? I mean, I was in the green room and seeing Jarvis and seeing it, and the corporate roundtable we just had with Andy, the CEO of RSA, and I had Suresh at BNP, and just that room is just, and I said that at the summit, because I spent my life doing these concerts powered by clean energy. I was in villages in Africa, places, doing 10-hour shows. It felt like home, you know? And I guess where I'm going with that, because I'm thinking about uniting the world, and that's one of the reasons why we're here, guys, and one of the that we connected with MSA is, you know, I've got this belief that this framework of the goals is a way to plug in every facet of humanity. And so that's what we've been doing, you know, obviously making a song for each goal and lining up a major artist with each record and lining up, you know, the NGOs that do the work like MSA, you know, so we can use the music to power the impact, right? And
radical collaboration.
Radical collaboration,
Brand.
right? Breaking down these but I always go back to, you know, it's funny, people talk about, you know, 953 shows, you know, powered 100% by clean energy, you know, but I couldn't do that without the technology and the partners that make the technology we collaborate with, and, you know, to have someone that's on the ground, like servicing these artists around the world, around the UK, right? Andrew, man, brother Andrew here with the stage box. I mean, you should say a few things about what you do and how you're giving artists a way to do it different.
So basically, we design and build and supply solar-powered mobile stages for outdoor events. Do you want to do the microphone? Okay. Fine.
Restart. Wait, hold on. Yep. Tell them how you do it.
So
we can fix this in post, right? It's not being streamed.
Tell them how you do it.
We design and build solar-powered mobile stages for outdoor events. We, as per model over there, and we normally do them in full scale, not 10% scale. Like, the key thing with us is kind of a complete unit. We've been doing solar-powered units about the same time that AY has, and so...
About the same time? Notice the word about, not quite.
Yeah, he was just before me. But,
okay, honestly.
But yeah, so, and actually one of the key things that we've been doing for a long time with this is making it so that, you know, it's selling to people doing events and things, being like, actually, it's certainly historically, it's been less true recently, but historically, nobody really cared about being green. People wanted to be seen to be green. And one of the arguments that I had so often with people is being like, look, even, I still have it occasionally, people, like, even if what we're doing wasn't green, even if climate change is nonsense and doesn't exist and is irrelevant, the way we do it is better because it's silent, it's instant, there's no fumes, there's no fuel, there's lots of other reasons why it is a great thing to do. Yeah. And actually, one of the key things that we've done is taken the problem of how you put on a performance and reimagined it. A bit like sort of Bez, the artist here, said, kind of that actually, that I'm no musician, but I'm a creative in the engineering sense. That we create like outside the box ideas to do things differently. And yeah, like I'm thinking from a ground up perspective of how you make everything operate more efficiently, and that's not just about power consumption. A lot of people, when they talk about efficiency, only think about power consumption. Actually, there's a lot more to it than that. If you can reduce the number of people you need on site, that's efficiency savings, because every person you have there, you've got to get there, you've got to feed, you've got to put up a hotel. All of that takes carbon. So I always try to bat out to people that try and think about being sustainable in a bigger, broader picture about take a step back and don't just look at the obvious things. Look at how go back to first principles and look at how your whole operation is working.
And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that there's an implication there, and it's the word opportunity, which is the thing I'm always banging on about. That's what this revolution is. And I'm thinking here, it's a question I'd like to throw out to the group now, because it is the title of our talk. Go on.
Don't throw it out yet. Can we throw it out next?
No, but I was going to just set the context, which is, quoting Andy Haldane again, the current chief exec of the RSA, and he said in a speech elsewhere, policymakers and political leaders actually have a very small window to be able to apply policy. And that small window is defined by public opinion, what they can get away with. He suggests that when crisis happens, that window of what is acceptable to the public that you can get delivered grows and shifts. So then I was going to ask the question.
Can we go right back to it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, i.e.,
I got an idea. I just want to clarify something.
Go on,
what
go
I'm
for it,
doing
go
in
for
the storytelling thing is you storytell so well, Timo.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got carried away.
He's such a fabulous
Man,
guy.
where were you going to go?
I was like, I'll think like Timo and do this whole thing.
Put a pin in the
You guys
whole
ready?
window.
Story mode. Okay, this was like not that long ago. And Brian Marquis, he's a great friend of mine, ex-touring manager of Billie Eilish since the day she started, right? And he's been connecting me to so many different people and trying to say, get behind this guy. I remember we were in a call, Andrew, right? And he was trying to convince some guy to like help, what we're doing, scale battery to probably 17. And I remember him leading with, AY's powered about 850 shows, I think, at the time or something. And then I remember the music industry guy who's way up there was like, that's impossible. You tell me he powered 800 concerts with clean energy? Like and then Brian was like, I mean, it's not just impossible. He's actually already done it, like 850 times. And I don't think it connects.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that's nice having done it for 10 years is when people have that argument with you going, it won't work. You go, well, it does. We can do what we say we can do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business. We had a run-in with the production manager for the Wurzels of all people, like a couple of years ago, who told somewhat to the people who were booking us that, and I quote, "You can't play to 300 people in a pub car park with solar-powered system. Physics says so." And you're kind of just like. I don't know how to unpack this. Like, this is just so completely absurd. But it's the way that people who've always done the other problem you do find is it's a bit like generals in the First World War. The people who are making all the decisions, the people who've been doing it for a long time, and they know all their stuff, but they know all their stuff from a long time ago.
Yeah.
And the technology has moved on, things have changed, and what is possible now is very different to what is possible in 10 years
and what
ago.
I'm hearing is that the solutions and the opportunity is here. Like, there are people that told me we couldn't do the Peacock Theater in LA, and we just did it with clean energy, right? So I want to be super clear about this piece of technology, because sometimes you talk really fast, and and I know what you're talking about, but they might be like, what? This is literally a concert stage that rolls into a car, and you can drive it, and it's solar battery powered with store energy in there, and this guy is able to
We
bring...
can set it up in under an hour with one person from getting on site to a full band on stage. My personal record is 15 minutes.
Back over to you, Timo.
If you're watching at home, just to clarify, that's not far away. It is actually small. It's an adorable model, just to be clear.
Okay, now, you're on, Timo.
And so, my exciting question to the group was, so what is the window of crisis? What's the opportunity for musicians, for artists? What's the What's the opportunity right the F now for artists and thinking like an artist? Go team, go on,
Can I
Jarvis.
just say, look at mass mobilising movements through the ages. It's been created by musicians, you know, through the Beethoven, the Beatles, the Spice Girls for girl power, hip hop for black people in America. You know, it's always been created with a soundtrack. The crazy thing is, the biggest issue of humanity's time, there's hardly any soundtracks. Why?
I think that too.
Why? Because, you know, the Annie Lennoxes and, you know, they did try to do this kind of album that was supporting sustainability. It didn't make any money because they were a little bit old. So the record label said to them, well, you can't do that again. So, you know, you're breaking out of the box. And thankfully, you can make it successfully through independent music now. And it needs somebody to champion it, to show that there's an economic model. And then all the artists will jump on the bandwagon because that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
So...
And can I throw in something and keep going? This is what I said at the corporate roundtable. I just did Rock in Rio. It was 80,000 people with Scorpion, with Ed Sheeran. We were right before a band called Evanescence. There was nobody who brought the goals to Rock in Rio. No one was talking about sustainability, regeneration, the steps to take as an outlet, as a person, to use your passion and take an action. Nobody in their hour-and-a-half set was doing that at Rock in Rio.
Which is unbelievable, right, in today's day and age, isn't it?
Well, I can actually speak to some research. There's a very lovely nonprofit called Planet Reimagined, and they do research very specifically on how fans want to be spoken to. And what they found overall is that fans really do want artists to speak out about climate change. But what we've also found is when you're an artist that's not necessarily like AY, when you're an artist that's just generally touring, fans really hate when you're speaking out about climate change, but you're not really taking any action. So I think because of that, there's a lot of fear to speak out about it. There's a lot of fear to be canceled. And even if you are doing something, I think sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think a lot of fans are just generally fearful about it, which is a shame. Not fans, artists are generally fearful about it.
But you know what? That's such a good point about creativity, because you know we are. All
Grab the mic,
artists.
sir. Didn't say that
I've
again.
stolen the mic.
We are all artists in one way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Yours is music.
Noticed
you know,
that.
some of us are speakers. Some of us are good at making money. It's all art. You know, life is art. We're just kind of,
Yep.
you know, that's constant. So if we can all live our purpose and embody that art, whatever it is, and then offer that in service to the greatest issue of humanity's time, the climate crisis, then we probably, even if we did die, at least we'd be doing what we love doing and purposeful.
Because there is, sorry to jump in before you make your point, Lisa, but on both those points, the point is that one of the behaviours of arts is simply testimony, and the basis of good storytelling is emotional truth.
Yeah.
So if what we can do as artists, and encouraging, you know, the people you work with, Elena, and all of us, is bring your truth. Testify to what it's really like to be a human being alive now, the anxieties or the hopes. I really want people to actually dare to say the future you want. Fucking declare it. What future do you want? Show it, manifest it, demand it of the bloody politicians who are not mentioning it at all in our elections. If we don't demand it, it's because we can't picture it. Artists can help us picture it, right? That's
And I think, I'm going to say one last thing, sorry. I think one really lovely thing that Billie Eilish has done is, you know, she is not a climate activist. She's not the expert in climate change. So what she does is she gives a platform with Overheated to all of these climate activists, all these climate scientists to actually speak about it. And she's still putting that exact same spotlight, but she's putting the experts in that spotlight, which I think is a really fabulous way to do it.
Great example. Lisa, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to build off what you were saying, actually, which is, you know, this idea that sort of culture sits upstream from politics.
Yeah.
And so, you know, actually what we can all do is shape culture, which then goes on to shape politics and shapes policy. And so one of the things that we've been doing quite a lot of thinking about and sort of looking to research is when you look at sort of climate, for some people, for a lot of people, it's still quite tricky to get your head around, like what that is. It's far away in time and space, whatever. Nature, however, as a way in, is kind of really resonating with people. And so we've been doing a lot of work around nature connection. And when you look at nature connection, which can be measured, and, you know, a guy called Miles Richardson at the University of Derby has been doing a lot of work around this. In Europe, the UK come bottom. We score bottom for nature connection. And when you look at... Yep. And when you... So despite our love of green and pleasant land, we're actually really bad at nature connection.
Why do you think that is?
Well, when you look at culture, one of the stats that I think is the most frightening is the amount of references to nature in art, books, music since the 1950s has declined by 63%. Wow. So not only have we lost kind of hedgehogs and nature generally in the world, but we've also lost nature in culture, in the work that we're doing. And so actually, you know, there's a big need to use creative superpowers to bring nature back into culture.
There's a big need.
Yeah.
There's a big
To ask
need.
the question why, it's because if the systems keep us disconnected from nature, we're not going to take responsibility for the very thing we are killing.
Very well said.
The consumption model is the thing that's driving us to extinction. It's not our fault because we're born into that system, but so by keeping us disconnected, we'll carry on doing the same stuff.
Oh, it's about habits.
There is a big need, but also the solutions have to be supported. People want to talk about need, and the solutions need to be supported. High five across the room, Timo.
High five, man.
Sorry, just Timo too, and you guys too. Sorry, I like to do air high fives. I think we need to turn this over to the people. I mean, it's all about the people. I think everyone in the world is an outlet for change and plugged into each other. You know, we can power change together, and we got a lot of outlets in the room, a lot of people here with passions, things like that. You do stuff. I think, you know, do we have any questions, right? Any comments, any thoughts for the panelists, what we're talking about?
Think of a question. If you want to leap in now or at any point, just have a think about it. Or immediately, can we go straight to questions?
That was quick.
Lights have come up.
Quick. And the people at home, I'm sorry you can't ask questions. I don't know what you were asking, but we with you.
them.
I want to get to a youth thing, too, maybe toward the end, but let's
Start not with the youth.
Oh, what's up?
Thank you. That was brilliant, guys. And it's so great to hear your enthusiasm, because I think we all need that enthusiasm, because it can be a bit exhausting, this journey and trying to shift everything. So we need that energy. I suppose the comment was the fact that I feel that music, you know, there's a problem with the sort of unifying the world. We're all, you know, having very angry, and, you know, there's so much sort of negativity. So that ability for music to cross that noise and to get to the heart of things, and for different genres, you know, is it country music or is it, you know, what you guys are doing? That is really exciting about that as a way of connecting with your audiences, and in the end, that's what that platform is so important. Anyway, thank you and well done.
Oh, comment. Awesome. You rock. Heck yeah. Any other questions from the audience? Back here, we got two for any of our panelists or in general. Beautiful comment. I love that. You're right. It's going to take different.
Hi. So it's Climate Week or Climate Action Week. Last week it was Ed Tech Week, and I want to ask, based on tech should be like not technology but techne, meaning craft in its pure origins. Why is there not enough at all of music tech startups? So we like, there's a lot of like technology will save us, and there's all sorts of tech for planet, purpose, not enough music tech. Why is that? Why is there not enough music tech?
I'll say one of the problems is that it's very hard to make money in the music industry, in the tech world, particularly if you're doing something different. You know, that I started this business, I was lucky, I had some inheritance money, not a huge amount in the grand scheme of the world, but you know, and since then every penny's gone back into the business. If you want to start up with things like this, you need money, and the problem is you're trying to do something that's new, people don't know what it is. I mean, we even find I've got nearly 20 years of proving I can do this, and we still can't get people to invest in us. You know, it's like it's money is the problem, I think.
Go. No.
I think I didn't mention this, I'm a trained behavioral economist, which is the study of human behavior. And I think part of it, too, is the music industry is incredibly risk averse. We put up these huge cities if you're looking at a stadium, it's up in 3 days, it's down right after, you ship it out. And if something goes wrong, that's millions of dollars on the line. So even though there is this tested new product, people don't really want to change simply because they're so risk averse, they don't want the millions of dollars on the line. But one of the great things you can do is what AY is doing. You've proven it over 800 times.
Trying.
There's no better way to prove it. So when you see something like that, that really helps change the behavior.
Yeah, and we'll pass it to the next question, but I did want to just throw in my thought with that, thinking like an investor, a venture capitalist, or even an angel, right? Or, you know, I was saying I was at Jarvis's P Award event, and there was like this huge guy in the finance market, and the first thing he said was like, I would never invest in your business, like in your sector, in your work. The music industry is considered from an investor standpoint risky. Period. It's risky. Now, I know I'm doing something different. We've developed a model now where we can even prove to a VC or an angel, you know, the impact piece and all of these things, but it's been very difficult mobilizing the finance industry. I'm still not there, you know, and I have this very investable model, making you know, world change with the battery tour as a whole, and they're still not investing in me. Right? This is why we're doing it, though. Next question.
Well, actually, before we jump to the question, there's a lovely, we'll come to you in a sec, but there's a lovely illustration from the music industry. A couple of years ago, I was invited onto the WD-40 podcast, and Matt Ballantyne's premise was, is there stuff that sustainable business can learn from the music industry in the development of MIDI, musical instrument digital interface? Because there was a rare example of business getting together and say, we will make a standard way of getting instruments to ship with the capability to talk to each other. It was Roland that led on that, and they got everybody in the 80s to sign off on it. And as a result, it makes those musical instruments not just bits of kit, they're cherished. I played a show last week, and I dug out my old Moog Liberation. It doesn't have MIDI, but people are still using some of the other hookup tech. That's a 45-year-old instrument that's still this beautiful thing that I look after like a precious instrument. The idea of instruments, not technology, changes the mind. And there is that example of how tech companies making technical musical instruments actually work together to make those instruments more valuable and last longer. So I just wanted to illustrate that because it's a lovely, positive example from the music industry.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much. It's such a beautiful and important topic. I've been working on supporting impact entrepreneurship around the Middle East and Africa for the last 16 years. And something that's been on my mind for so long is that the SDGs are the symptom of the problem. They're not the problem. We know how to solve all the SDGs. We know how to solve climate change. The question is, why are we not doing it? And in my mind, it goes down to this foundation of culture. And then the question is, how do we change culture? And what you folks are talking about is such an important essence of that, but we're still missing something. And so I'm curious what you folks think. What is between where we are now and the norm of our behavior, of our communications, of our economies, of our shops, of our businesses, et cetera, is sustainability, is ethics, is compassion, is inclusivity, et cetera, the norm? What do we do to build that momentum? What do you folks think we can do?
I would love to answer that.
Okay, I was going to point to Lisa's as well, but no.
We can both. We can both. So I think one of the things that we found in the research that we did, which was UK-based, it's now in Ireland as well, around the Good Life 2030 project, was doing deep research with people talking about their vision of the future. One of the things that became really clear through that, and there's been a lot written about this actually, we're not the only people saying this, is what you currently have is a story of separation, like across society, across culture. That underpins all of our culture. It's what creates all the media wars, all the culture wars. It's what creates everything.
100%.
Is this idea that we are all separate and different from each other, and that our differences are put first and foremost. And actually what came through very clearly when people dream about the future, they just dream of connection, this interconnected world and life, and connection to themselves. So, you know, things that are important to them, you know, being able to sort of pursue those, work with those, you know, enjoy time with those, connecting to each other in terms of both community from a sort of, you know, post-COVID community world, but also a larger us, you know, actually how can we all be more connected? And then connecting to nature, which is just so fundamentally important and is absent now, actually. And when you look at the statistics, the frightening thing is it drops off a cliff at about age 9. So, like, you know, the attention economy and the introduction of social media, you know, makes it more difficult for people to connect to nature. So, in short, my view would be it's the separation and the need for connection is what will bring us together. And you're right; those are all symptoms of that problem.
Jarvis,
you kind of laid the foundation for what I was going to say. So just to build on it, there's no point in me repeating. You know, maybe this isn't a crisis. maybe this is the biggest opportunity that humanity's ever had to fix a problem. You know, the point of this is that we are part of a system that we don't actually even understand. We use 5% of our brains. We're not spiritually connected. We don't use the arts in the way that they were designed, which was for sacred, to be in prayer, to be connected. You know, so we've lost our way. We've gone about probably nearly as far as we can go, and then we've got to come back. So nature is conspiring with us to co-create so we can remember, so we can awaken and evolve and remember the spiritual beings that we are having a human experience. That's my take, that's my experience, and I know that to be true in my beingness. And I'm part of a movement with these guys, with the Lamatoshi and Michelle, trying to bring spiritual beings together to bring sacred art back into the commercial mainstream world, and we're hopefully going to work together on some music that you know that will do that. So that's my take on it.
And what did Lamatoshi, you did earlier, what you beautifully did in an earlier session that wasn't online, so you won't have seen it at home. When we were talking about the place of art and the place of creativity, you just immediately said, "Excuse me, can we sing?" And move your body and reverberate melody through your body together with other people and it just changed it straight into what we're really talking about. So thank you for that, because you illustrated it beautifully. That's what you're talking about.
And we have 2 questions, so I want to go right to them. But can I take a sec? You hit me in the heart, bro, and I was like, I have to say something. You know what I'm saying? And I heard you say separation. And I think about the goals, and I'm thinking about like what we've been doing at Project 17 and seeing, you know, kids, youth, companies, guys that are hedge fund directors, asset managers, the MSAs of the world, the nonprofits that do the work, all kind of unite behind this bubbling movement, this project that's, you know, has music at the forefront. Is one song for each goal. And part of me just immediately wants to be like, this is the answer. Like, plug in here, because, you know, we're using the framework of the goals to plug in every facet of humanity. If you're an influencer on Twitch and you're 12 years old and you're twitching to 14 million people, you know, you can look at the goals and be like, I'm about gender equality. Like, we had this girl in Kentucky that's in the U.S. that just signed on. It's on TikTok. She does something with, like, her dad or something, like cooks food or something, right? But when she looked at the goals, it was all about, like, gender equality. It's like, okay, now go make content for that. Be an outlet for change and take a step every day, right? Do that. And now you're creating things that aren't separate anymore. Mm-hmm. I live in Kansas City, Kansas, Dorothy, right? Right? And I'll end by saying this because I just think in stories. And I remember talking to this guy in Kansas. He was like, I was talking about Project 17. I was like, I want to get Garth Brooks. He's a country guy on one of these records. You know, I'm making country music. I got an anthem coming out of country record. And I remember he was like, I love Garth Brooks. Every concert I go to it. And then I remember telling him, yeah, well, and then the idea on this one goal called 5, thinking about like a Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande. And the moment I said like Lady Gaga, and she's incredible, he was like, I don't care about them gays. That's what he said. That's what he said, right? And he was like turned off. You know what I mean? Like, he's just in his world. That's you know, conservative mindset. You know, but it was interesting. By the end of the concert, or the conversation, I saw this change in him. Mm. It was almost like it was like, well, he was conflicted because he's like, well, I don't care about that, but he loved his life. I love my farm and I care about my land and it was so interesting because I thought to myself, he's gonna listen to Goal 5, he's gonna listen to that song, he'll skip over it, go sit, and then he'll get to his song, and it's gonna force him to maybe think differently. Mm. That's a solution that's here right now, right? So that's my thought. She's talking about youth too, and that's a huge piece. I wanted to talk about youth, so this is cool. What's up?
Yeah, thanks for opening that topic. So yeah, I work with young people every day, and I help them figure out their future career. And they have amazing clarity about what the future looks like. They can picture it. What they're immensely confused about is how they can get there and what's their role in getting there.
Aren't we all?
Well, actually, no, I don't think so. I think that the vision for how different the world could be, how different specific sectors would be. They've got it more than we are because they're less inhibited, I think. They've got less constraints, and they're potentially less risk averse. But really what they're struggling with is figuring out their role in all of this. And so we said, and it's beautiful, I never thought about it, sustainability lacks a soundtrack, and soundtracks unite. What's the scope for, has it been done, AY, you might have known this, but has it been done that actually young people bring that soundtrack about sustainability? They put it in their own words. Can they build the soundtrack? Can the artists actually collaborate and put the mic in the hands of the young people and let them build that soundtrack that the world needs?
Well, I definitely want to say, like, artists around the world are doing so many things in music, millions. There's so many artists that you don't know that aren't backed by a label or have an agent or a manager like me, because I don't have one of those things, right, that are putting out music every single day on Spotify. What are the numbers? The amount of people on Spotify every day is whatever, 20 million people every day upload tracks. There are so many of those. They're out there. So that is happening. Now, if you're saying that, you know, the top 1% of artists are not making like a song about a goal or like something very specific, well, you answered a lot of why that's not happening. And also, I like to say it might not be in their DNA. Like, my purpose is this, right? Like, before I got the call from the Secretary General, I had already done 800 and something shows. I'd already used my music to bring energy like 18 different. I was flying back from Honduras, right? Like, I tell a story all the time of like when I was there. It's like the murder capital of the, like one of the murder capitals in a hotel, and I saw it was like a murder capital area, like Honduras. And I remember they took me in the van, and then I had these armed guards with machine guns. It was crazy, right? And then they were driving me, and I'm seeing women, you know, with like water on their head, you know. And then I was thinking, because I was told like they walk 5 to 6 miles or whatever to get clean water. And then I'm thinking, if you're at mile 3 and you drop it, what do you do? You know, and I was doing concerts, first time they've ever heard music. You know what I mean? And I guess I'm saying this because I told the story at the Green Sports Lines. I remember when like people were weeping, like when people were crying because we were giving them energy, like, you know. I'm motivated by the millions that are taking steps to do stuff, and I definitely will just say I can only speak from my perspective, is like, and to talk about youth, yes, youth have these solutions, but they're gonna need the support, right? That's why I'm pulling this together, to even get Project 17 to support. I'm a young leader on all these programs, and a lot of youth say we need adult leader support, right? So yes, there's a lot of, it's all there, we just shine some more light. I'm sorry to take so much. What are your thoughts, or do we have more questions? I hope that helps a little.
Can I just shout out your song from COP, though? Like, maybe that's the anthem. Yeah. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put that out there.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah.
You know what, as well, to answer that question, I think you've really nailed the life of what an artist could be, is giving back, right? You know, we are in a critical time now where if we don't stop being selfish and start giving back, we are completely screwed if the science is correct. What you've identified there is, you know, I'm probably the eldest on this panel.
Probably
50.
not, actually, mate.
Well, I might feel like it. But the point of it is, what I try and do as an artist is to give back as much as possible. Because, you know, I'm in a later stage in my career. I'm financially more successful. I still got a family and young kids. But, you know, this is a perfect example of somebody that's giving back through their purpose. And, you know, all of us can do that. Every single one of us can do that. But we're just not. Why? Because we've been fed this narrative that we got to have this and we got to have that. And so you were such a that's why I want to support you, man, because you're just such a beautiful example of that lifestyle, which every single one of us can live.
And what does that do? It gives you embody, and when you're standing up there, what artists can do is embody the confidence to give to other people and say, I can do it, so you can do it. Yeah. Right? That's the thing, to pass the spirit of art on to other people and go, don't fear. That's how I got going. One person gave his musical testimony, and I just thought, he's given me permission. Yeah. We've got one more question here. Go.
Can I throw this in too? It's just got to be hit at the end of the day, yo, with youth. It just, you're talking about a soundtrack with the right song, the right moment. Is anyone watching what Kendrick Lamar is doing right now? Yes. With Drake? Yes. Right? Yeah, so like just really quick, right? Life's about moments. That's what I say every concert. I always make a moment every concert. Moments, right? It's moments. When you look at what Kendrick is doing, he united through this Drake beef. Drake is a big artist, right? They're beefing because Kendrick doesn't like Drake. But if you watch what happens, he brought Dr. Dre out. Eminem has issues bringing Dr. Dre, who produced Snoop Dogg and everything, out of his hibernate. This man brought Dr. Dre and every rival gang in LA to his concert.
Bloods and the Crips.
And the Bloods, the Crips, everybody. I saw a lot of gang members. I grew up in the hood, actually. I was on the divider line between the Bloods and the Crips. People don't know my story, but my dad, I saw him bring the neighborhood block by block together. I don't think you guys understand, on the viewers at home, to get gangsters together and not shoot themselves. It's difficult. That's a moment, and that record happens. It was dope, it was cool, it was the right timing. And now everybody can get behind it, right? So at the end of the day, when you even look at Michael Jackson and what he did, right? But Michael was Michael. He became Michael before We Are the World, and then he made a moment. So everybody, I know a lot of artists are inspired, and maybe you might be the one to make the moment with the song and the material. But we need someone to do that. Now, I think I've got some great stuff, and I can't wait to show the world some. And we've seen some of the moments with the music piece that I've put together. But we're just waiting for that if that makes sense. And it's not going to happen until you get that, and then you're going to have
No, it's true. Yeah, I keep up as well. Basically, I'm the odd one out in this whole audience, I think, because I'm not a musician. I'm a comedian. So you're thinking, why am I here? But
it's very rock and roll.
Thank you. Yeah, I need some rock and rolls. Yeah, but let me throw the rocks at you. Anyway, so I'm basically being not just a comedian. I'm named Variety D. I'm a pioneer in Britain. I'm the first Black British disabled comedian since Charlie Williams and his era.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. But the thing is, this video has no colour. It's like chicken. Sorry for the vegans. But like everyone knows about KFC Colonel, but no one knows about jerk chicken until they go to a Jamaican friend of theirs. Yeah. But anyway, so in the industry as a disabled performer, I have people that have asthma as well as being autistic and stuff. Like, I'm not autistic, I'm epileptic, and my mum's hectic, so yeah, there we go, that's life. But those stages look wicked. I want one of those. I want to be on one of those.
Talk to me after.
And thank you. Yes, there you go, permission. Now, how do I, who also born in the hood, by the way, I'm born in Lambeth, no, not Lambeth, too nice, Brixton, okay? The back streets, the SW9, and we have sort of Bloods and Crippish, but I'm also a West Ham fan born, so you know our rival Millwall, Silly Millie, sorry if you're here. Yeah, but it's really hard for me to get to, literally, even the other day, to get particularly black people from the South to get here in the West End.
Oh, yeah.
AY, if you don't know about it, black people in the South, I'm not sure about other places, and parts of East Hackney, they don't like going to West End unless they get night town, then McDonald's, then go home. Because they think that place like Knightsbridge is expensive. So if you're living in Knights Hill in West North, South London, they think that it's, oh no, we can't go to Knightsbridge, they got to come to me. Like, you got to come to us. No, you don't.
So they won't be coming to the RSA?
Exactly. Yeah. But I tried to force them, but you know you can't get a horse to force them, you can think to late, we can't force them drink.
Plus, you don't want to call your mates horses. That's like, I think it's counterproductive, mate.
Well, you know, nay. So anyway, so what I'm saying is that I got my not so horse up here, and to try to ask some information. How does a black woman 5'2", 3 with heels, make other black folks, different shades, come up here and say something and make a movement? And without getting arrested, because not all of us are the same. We roll differently.
This is the question, AY.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cheers. Google me, Variety D. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah. So the question is, reiterate to me. Then I'm trying to get the question one more time. Can I hear your thought?
How can the people of colour, if you're black, if you're from other minorities, when you're up the East End...
Have great ideas.
Exactly. perfectly put.
Yeah, well,
How can you convince them? How can they feel safe to come in and join in this crazy radical collaboration, Merrick? How do we feel
100%.
safe to go into each other's spaces?
Yeah, well, one I want to say, because you're looking at someone who grew up in the hood and is black and in a space that, you know, solar space. That is not, I don't know, I still to this day don't know too many, you know, African Americans like
It's a bit of a wide space,
right?
isn't it?
Designing and creating renewable energy stuff and solutions and, you know, so, and I know it's tough to be well, I don't know what it's like to be a woman, sorry.
You have been told that it is.
I have been told that, and I work my hardest to do the best I can in my organization and in general to empower women, because I think they have to be at the forefront of all this stuff, right? Jump, right? Notice when I told you about the record executive that Brian Marquise put me on the line with, we were telling him of the 800 and something concerts I did. So
Oh, you beat me.
definitely, well, definitely do. I'll say this: a lot of people look to other people or their government or this or that to, like, I guess, like, start their idea even, or like, oh, they got all these ideas, but they're like, we can do. But you know, maybe it's just like try to do it, and then you come back. It's like I remember someone at COP28 was telling me. They were asking me, it was like a young leader, and they were asking me this question of how do I get the adults to help or whatever. And I have this organization that's going to plant trees, and it was like some model with how they plant trees. And I was like, okay, cool, how many trees have you planted? And she was like, oh, we haven't planted any yet. We need the government to do this and this person to do that. And I was like, so I was like, you know, why don't you plant 10? And then you go to them and say, well, with your money or this or that, we can do 20. And then if they don't say yes, then plant 50. And then come back. And then if it's 150, then, right? This is at show 953, and I'm saying the same thing. I don't know if it's going to take 1,000. I don't know if I got to get to 1,400 concerts with clean energy. I don't know if we need to plug in 40 countries instead of 20. But I'm going to keep doing it. Right? And then eventually, some of the best people in the world might actually get behind you. So that I think that's like my
jump.
My answer.
You know what as well? Every single artist that you talk to has been on that journey. You know, Rocky, when he wanted to get that film signed, got 1,000 no's before he got the yes. You know, that's the graft.
Oh no, all the time.
From an American point of view, though, Britain is different, where there's thick obstacles, where we come from that kind of.
Humans are the same. It might be different, but humans are the same. I'm catalyzing Japan. I'm catalyzing Dubai. I'm catalyzing. She just said COP20. This city, this country. I did 215 shows last year. There's 365 days in a year. I was traveling for 300 days. That was last year. That was last year, right? So,
and
this is the battle, right? And I have 3 sponsors. My goal is 17. When I started Pride 17 sponsors. I have 3. There are 14 more slots to fill. I would have thought BNP Paribas is behind me, General Motors. I would think that's enough, right, for everyone to just sign on. It's not, clearly.
So there's a principle there. I don't mean to cut across you. We're going to have to bring it to an end, which is very sad. But I would say there's a question at the back which I'd like to go to. But I was going to say that the principle is that it's embodiment and leading by example. That's what every artist can do, is show up and demonstrate. And I kind of feel like because we got to wrap up now, right, Rachel? I think we have.
Let's hit the question.
Do you want one more question?
Let's
okay,
hit it.
then I'll jump. I didn't mean to cut across. We'll go.
Yeah, sorry.
Last question at the back there.
There's one in the middle.
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, you spoke about creating moments a while earlier. When do you think the day will come, or how soon do you think the day will come when there's an album or a single that has as big a cultural impact as Marvin Gaye's What's Going On or a Pink Floyd album that we will be talking about in 50 years from now?
Oh, God, yeah.
There are so many conversations like to have, and this is a longer answer because I got to get into the music piece. I'll just say that you know, I'm a guy that studied the Max Martins, who made the Weeknd's Blinded by the Lights, and I'm a guy who studies Ryan Tedder, who writes the Jonas Brothers, and did Max Martin made Blank Space for Taylor Swift. He made, I mean, come on, I'm in the studio right now working on Project 17 with Ken Lewis, 150, platinum records, gold records, Recovery for Eminem, Kanye West's albums. I think it's just going to take, it's funny, Pharrell just hit us up, right, on that program, incredible producer. I think it's just, how can we bring, it's interesting. I was having this conversation with Peter Gabriel too, not too long ago, because he flew me out to
I was in the cab when Peter Gabriel bum dialed.
Yeah, that was crazy. To me, it's just bringing the best the world has to offer has got to come together, and let's make something great. Just like Quincy made great stuff with Michael, and great people came together, right? It's going to happen. One more, right? Is there one more, or are we done? Sorry.
We have to wrap it up now. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll talk.
I think that is a great question to leave. What will it take? I really want to ask you all, but I think we've got to wrap up. But for you at home, think about this. For us in the audience, think about it, tweet about it, share the conversation. What will it take to encourage such creative confidence in young artists that we make what's going on, the next albums, or Dark Side of the Sun, or great big iconic moments that are speaking to now and speaking to our tomorrows? Great art that will be great in 50 years, but represents a moment in time. Oh, God, I want to keep the conversation going.
Thank you
so much, everyone. Thank you to you for joining us. We're going to go and schmooze now. Thank you to you at home for joining us as well. Share this online. Share your thoughts, right, everybody? Awa Young, my friend.
It was fun. Thank you, guys. Fun.
Sorry, we couldn't go further.